Why do we fear the unknown? On first principle, it seems childish to be afraid of what doesn't exist, fabrications of the mind that have no real basis in truth or objective reality. But it's not specifically about what could exist out there, monsters, aliens, cryptids, what have you. It's a fear of realizing that something does exist, and the feeling of confronting that reality is overwhelming, as the realization that reality as you knew it is not what it is. H.P. Lovecraft was an American writer from Providence, Rhode Island. During his professional career, he wrote various stories that broke the conventions of the horror genre and rebuilt them into a new genre, the self-titled Lovecraftian horror. This genre focuses on scaring the audience through the unknown and incomprehensible. His works make the reader confront the nature of the universe and their place within it. The monsters, while scary, can't be directly classed as good or evil. They work off a moral code so removed from our reality that we can't possibly understand their motives. Picture this: you're an ant or some other small insect. Now picture this. February 1916. It's the Battle of Verdun. French and German forces are fighting from both sides. Who is good? Who is evil? You don't know. You're an ant. You can't possibly understand their motives. These gods wage a seemingly endless war for reasons that are far beyond your comprehension, while you can only watch as an idle observer. Now picture this. You're a young scientist who's landed a job at a research base located within the thick woods of the Swiss Alps. Except you're not a god, you're an ant. Voices of the Void was created by Eternity Dev, also known as Mr. Dr. Knows. The initial demo was released onto itch.io on the 5th of August 2022. Since then, the game has received mostly regular updates over the years and is now in a pre-alpha stage. As described before, you play as a young scientist named Dr. Kell, who has taken up a job at the previously abandoned Dunkel-Taylor Forest Alpensignal Observatorium facility, living and working in and around the central building known as Alpha Root Base. His, and by extension your job, is to save and process signals from space, as well as repair and maintain the base. Daily tasks are given to you by the ASO's lead project astronomer Dr. Bao. He will also ask you to download reports from specified satellites each day, in addition to data tapes which record throughout the day. Once these tasks are finished, drives are in a box, completed tapes in their case, and reports downloaded onto a zip drive. You just call down the drone to the base, put everything in it, and send it back to base all before midnight. You have a hunger and stamina meter that can be filled by eating and sleeping respectively. Not feeling hunger stops you from running and sleeping, whereas not feeling stamina can also stop you from running and cause you to fall unconscious. Something important to note is the game's physics and interaction mechanics. You can run, jump, pick up items, rotate them, throw them, break boxes, go completely limp, and tumble down inclines. If you're familiar with Valve, you might have picked up that this feels incredibly similar to the Source engine, and that's because it's designed to emulate the feeling of games like Half-Life, for example. However, Voices of the Void was made in Unreal Engine, which is much newer and far less archaic to develop with. While the focus of this video isn't the main gameplay of Voices of the Void, it's worth noting how effective the gameplay loop is. As you work from day to day, your defenses naturally lower as you get into a working rhythm. It's a very active game, pushing you to keep moving around the base and explore the surrounding area. Speaking of which... Voices of the Void has some of the best exploration I've seen in a game. The various connecting roads and lush foliage plays on your sense of exploration and makes you want to see everything this game has to offer. The game doesn't just replicate the Source engine's mechanics, but pays homage to its art style, taking a lot of inspiration from, again, Half-Life, Portal, and even Gary's mod, which creates a haunting atmosphere reminiscent of loading up maps by yourself or joining an empty server. This style has become immensely popular recently, due in large parts to projects like the recently completed Interloper series from Anomade, which I really want to talk about someday. It's so good, please go watch it. Key points to explore include the security booth where you start the game, Alpha Root Base where you do the bulk of your work, the various satellites designated from B to Y using the NATO phonetic alphabet, the 3 transformers that must be maintained to keep the power on and keep working, the mysterious bunker out the front of Alpha Root Base, the wind turbines atop a hill, and the large lake. Other notable locations are the statue of a goat named William the Protector, a trailer park, a hole with a metal grate over it, a tree with a fence going over it with the text, "Fuck off, you don't see it, forgore now, there's monsters, they eat you, you die." You can actually go through the fence, although there's nothing to find. And finally, the cave. What makes exploration even better is the vehicle provided to you at Alpha Root Base, the ATV. This thing is super fun to drive around. It's so helpful for getting to satellites quickly and exploring the base in general. It has a health, battery, and fuel meter which can be filled using toolboxes, car batteries, and gas cans. There are upgrades you can buy for the ATV as well, such as solar panels to recharge the battery, floaties to drive on the water, a seatbelt so you're not flung off the ATV, and many others. There's a lot to find around the base. Most of it is tied to random events, but there's plenty of things to look for if you're curious enough. What are events? Well, events are one of the biggest parts of the horror in Voices of the Void. These can occur randomly, when scanning a signal, as part of the story mode, or directly triggered by you. You'll know an event is happening when you try to pause the game and the menu glitches out. This is meta-paranoia, and it completely stops you from pausing, sleeping, or saving. The fact that the game wrestles control of basic actions from you is brilliant. Not giving the player pause to collect their thoughts and force them to adapt to the situation is intense. It's even more terrifying when you don't realize that an event is happening, and you see the pause text glitch out, causing an overwhelming sense of dread to wash over you, as you start to worry about what might happen. I'm not going to go through every event in the game, as that spoils a lot of the horror and the story, but I'll go through a few of them and highlight some funny ones. Randomly, a locker inside the bedroom of Alpha Root Base will fill up with bloodied limbs and flesh. It's unclear what put these here or whose body parts these are, but let's hope you aren't next. The satellites throughout the array can sometimes just move on their own, even while you're scanning a signal. It doesn't cause meta-paranoia weirdly, but you will have to reset the satellite's polarity. The radio tower directly outside your base can just disappear. No explanation, no reason, it'll just vanish and reappear. You can find a human heart in a pile of salt, which is no exaggeration based off of a real story where workers at a Tennessee salt factory discovered a human heart in a pile of salt, which has still not been resolved to this day. If you have the funny setting turned on, you can randomly scan a signal called Duende, and if you go into your bathroom after scanning it, you can find a grey alien taking a on your toilet, and he will disappear. As you can probably tell, the game has its mix of horrifying and funny events. The game constantly fluctuates your emotions while you play, trying to break you as you work to complete your tasks in as efficient a time as possible. I'm being very cautious not to say too much about these things, as a lot of the bombastic and truly terrifying events are massive spoilers, and I don't really have it in my heart to spoil the contents of a pre-alpha build, especially since it's free. Now with these three aspects in mind, the all-important question is, how does it all come together? Voices of the Void is some of the best in class in terms of its horror. While the main gameplay loop is literal busywork that's slow to start without upgrades, it's used to such great effect and gets you into such an addictive rhythm that it becomes enjoyable. Even cleaning Alpha Root Base is fun. Working towards repairing the interior and customizing it to your liking gives you something to do in the downtime between daily tasks, provided you get them done quick enough. The hunger and stamina mechanics are great for keeping you grounded to reality, giving you a clear limit on how much you can work and punishing you for not keeping an eye on it. These mechanics are great at keeping you occupied, which allows the horror to fully take effect. While your mind is juggling a million other things, the various horrors can sneak up on you, which works way more than when you're actively anticipating a scare. While other horror games focus on aspects of horror such as psychological, supernatural, or apocalyptic, Voices of the Void manages to do all three in addition to existential horror. It creates such an ironclad grip on you that drags you down into madness, and once it finally relents, you're left to go about your day like nothing happened. If you've watched other videos on this game, one thing you've probably noticed is that the creators mostly structure the video around a personal account of events that happened to them. This is true for most game reviews and analysis videos, but it's particularly potent in the case of Voices of the Void. The inherent randomness of the game and lack of dialogue from your character puts you in the driver's seat of everything that happens, which is ripe for creating tales that can be shared amongst creators who've also played the game, in a sort of bonding through trauma experience. I'm going to share my account of the last time I played this game before writing this script. If you don't want to be spoiled, then skip to the outro, or even better, leave and play the game until you've completed at least day 30. Otherwise, here's my story. I was working throughout the day. I had forgotten to sleep the night before, so my stamina meter was close to zero. Eventually, it was completely empty, and I fell asleep at my work desk. A few hours passed, and eventually it was nighttime when I woke up, strangely on the other side of the room next to the shower. I pressed on with my work, continuing to scan and process signals, taking a moment to look outside, feeling paranoid something might happen. Suddenly, a new signal came through, and it was... I was left stunned at the sight of the triangular spaceship, but nonetheless, I continued working. Eventually, I got my work done and sent off my drives, satellite data, and tapes to Dr. Bao. Despite my better judgment and for no particular reason, I went outside into the cold dark night. I opened the garage door and clicked my escape key. When I saw that glitchy pause text, I knew what I was experiencing. Meta-paranoia. I climbed the tower to see if anything was going on, but all I could see were the wisps, which had been here for a while now. My daily package of tapes, drives, and food arrived, and for some reason, I started working again, even with how late it was and how tired I was, even after falling asleep earlier. Suddenly, I saw something out of my office window. I thought it was my Kerfus returning with the satellite info, but it was pacing weirdly and seemed translucent. Its piercing yellow eyes stared at me through the glass, and I went outside to investigate it. My assumption that it was Kerfus was a big mistake. It started chasing me and I ran back into the base, shutting the garage door and trying to lock the other door, but the creature phased right through it, slashing at me with its claws and disappearing from sight. My Kerfus did return soon after, and the creature reappeared as well, patiently stalking the outside perimeter of the base. I thought, if I just don't go outside, then I won't aggravate it. This was proven wrong as once again it phased through the wall and slashed at me again. My vision was actually starting to get wobbly from the blood loss, but I had no medkits to heal myself and didn't want to risk going outside to get some from the drone. At this point my stamina completely went to zero and an insomniac appeared in my room, a hallucination of my tired mind staring at me down with its beady white eyes. My body kept collapsing, trying to fall asleep, but the meta-paranoia kept me awake indefinitely. Eventually, after falling over again, my vision became extremely blurry and everything looked black and white. It was like the nightmares I had been having came to reality, and I was living in it. Suddenly an explosion rang out, and it seemed to have jolted my senses back, but soon after the creature reappeared and slashed at me again. Just like that, as soon as the color came back to me, so too did the light leave my eyes. When I reloaded my save, I was back on the same spot I died. Did that really happen? Was I so tired that I hallucinated that entire encounter? I couldn't be sure. I went to sleep immediately and woke up with another case of meta-paranoia a few hours later. What terrifying creature was the cause of this, you may ask? Well, let's just say... a group of small little elves leaving me presents under the Christmas tree with one of them getting stuck rubbing against the wall. How adorable. With that nightmare over, I continued throughout the day, scanning signals, cleaning the base, some light exploration, and overall being productive. I thought I'd call it early for the day and decide to get some sleep, but I couldn't. Something was wrong. And then... I quickly dashed outside. I saw a faint purple glow on the horizon and climbed the watchtower to get a better look. The tower beams blocked my view as I climbed. The shaking vibrations caused by whatever this thing was rang out across the woods. As I was halfway up the tower, I saw it. The spaceship I saw yesterday, but this time it had long legs, insectoid arms, and a large open eye. As it stomped throughout the woods, it stopped occasionally to grab the wisps throughout the forest. Was it helping me? Are we on the same side? Or does it have its own goals it wants to further? I didn't know, but I also didn't want to bring attention to myself, so I let it take them. With one last roar, it stomped off into the fog and disappeared from sight. It's at this moment I felt small. Not just from the overwhelming size difference, but also in the grand scheme of things. Did it know I existed at all? Was I even relevant to its mission? I didn't really know. It could have crushed me to death and nothing would have changed. and likely wouldn't have noticed. I was just an ant. Hey everyone, thank you for checking out this video. I hope this experiment with a shorter video length has been successful. Before I say anything else, you should absolutely go check out Voices of the Void. Go to Mr. Dr. Nose's website, itch.io page, anything, just download the game, check it out, it's a lot of fun, despite the, cryptids and stuff. Big thank you to the currently 429 views on the last video, and the 60 new subscribers I've gained from that. That is way more than I was expecting, seeing as I haven't made content in over 2 years now. It really means a lot, and I hope I can go further. Also, massive thank you to Curious IDs for giving me the most heartfelt and also funniest comment I have ever seen. It really means a lot, so thank you. I'm honestly not entirely sure what I want to do next. Like, there's a bunch of games that I want to cover and probably should cover, but right now I'm kind of undecided on what to start on. I've been playing through the Stalker franchise recently, and I'm on Stalker 2 now, so maybe that, but also I feel like I should go back to something that I haven't played in a while. I'm not sure. Also maybe something that's a bit longer but not too long to explain. I don't know, I'll think of something. As stated last time, leave any questions in the comments below, and see ya. Have a good one.